So you're in the middle of tour at the moment?
Not really, actually. We sort of started to write a new record. It's touring a bit, like got a few shows over the summer, and bits like we're about to go to the States in a couple of weeks and tour there, but not really like heavy touring.
Right, guys, we're ready when you are.
Okay, so we're just talking about how we're at the Royal Albert Hall. How does it feel to be playing here tonight, and how does the sound check sound for you guys as well?
This is actually my first time in the Royal Albert Hall, so I was in awe of just how gladiatorial it is, and we were just saying to you how echoey and boomy it is when no one's in here. But it's the fact it's in the Albert Hall, I think, adds an even greater sense of occasion to an already big night.
And what's your involvement with the charity, the Teenage Charity Trust? What's your involvement with them?
We only really became involved. I mean, we went to a ward in Newcastle in 2011, and we recently visited UCH in London. And really, our relationship is that I feel music is often trivialized as maybe something like purely for entertainment, perhaps like a luxury, isn't it? But it's a very powerful tool, and I think if anyone ever approaches you and asks you to give anything back, then you're always sort of keen to do that, I think. So it's obviously everyone grows up knowing, or everyone that likes music knows about Teenage Cancer Trust and their shows and the fact they're all here and stuff. So it's sort of an honour to be involved, really.
And is it kind of important to you that your fans can also give back? Because obviously they're coming to see you perform tonight, and then they're contributing to the charitable.
Yeah, of course. All our guests have to pay as well, and we always make our guests pay whenever we do a show. Because I always think being a guest shouldn't be getting in free; it should just be getting in. So I'm very happy about the fact that even all our guests have to donate to Teenage Cancer Trust tonight.
And how's the gig actually going to work? Is it all seated, or is there a kind of standing area? Because the gigs that I've been to of yours, having the crowd at the front and everyone dancing is quite important. Is it going to be like that tonight as well? Yeah, I think that's actually the one worry, really, is that there's so many seats, and it's not really very fun being sat down at a Vaccines gig. But the floor is standing. I also find it hard. There are some bands who they seem to just have people wrapped around their little finger, and even though it's seated, they can always make people. I've never been good at making people stand up. Now I need to project my voice more.
You see how it goes tonight?
Yeah, just pepping the fans around the outside. And so it's almost a year since English Graffiti was released. Is that right? And how are you pleased with everyone's response to it, and how does it feel, kind of looking back at the release of it as well?
You can never be pleased with everyone's response. I'm really proud of it. What do you think, Arnie?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we released the best album that we had under our belt at that point, and we worked really hard at it. And I think it was an incredibly sort of educational and just quite a cathartic process making it. It was it's very experimental for us. But currently, I think we're just sort of looking ahead, if anything. You always by the time that a record comes out, you've sort of moved on anyway. You've had it in your hands for 6 months already. So now we're literally we're 15 demos into a new album, and that's the only thing we're thinking about.
I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
And if at the end of an album, a year on, 2 years on, you're still really proud of the album, you're still playing at the Royal Albert Hall, then I think you can be happy. Yeah.
And what's the writing process now? You're saying you've already got songs ready for the new album. How do you guys kind of work together, and what's the process behind your new writing the new album?
I mean, with it, it's always different, song to song and week to week, month to month, just because we're all over the place. But at the moment, I think Arnie's got a little studio, and we've just really been bringing songs in, all of us bringing songs in, and just working them up as a band, a mixture of playing them live and kind of working in the box, building them, like Lego pieces, arranging them like Lego pieces. It's really fun. It's just we really we always used to kind of work songs up in a live capacity, but I think we like the freedom that kind of working them up in a more sort of, I guess, production heavy way gives us. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when I spoke to you a year ago, you were literally about to set on this mammoth touring schedule. What's this summer holding for you guys? Have you guys got many dates lined up as well?
This summer, I think we're doing 20 shows or something, which is actually quite it's quite relaxed for us.
Yeah.
We're I guess we're seeing the world in the process, but really we're just focusing on writing at the moment. That's taking up all of our time and our creative and mental capacity, I think.
And do you find time to write on the road? Is there kind of like you set time aside when you can literally sit down and do that as well?
Sometimes, but I think that like it's not necessarily the best place to write, just because I don't know. My head's very rarely in the right. It's a really good place to start ideas and finish ideas. Like if you want to sit down for a couple of hours and like refine lyrics or maybe like work on a beat or something. But actually sitting down with a guitar, it's hard to really get in that headspace, I think.
And you were saying before you're about to set off on some American dates. Do you distinguish between each location you're playing in the States? Is it like, you in the mindset of you're playing in this town? Is there like a difference between playing in the US and Europe and each little town in America?
I think there's a difference wherever you play in the world, really. The US is massive, and
it's more like 50 countries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so every city is very different. The only thing they have in common is national identity and a language, but everything else is totally different.
And what's your kind of stage routine when you're playing? Do you have a routine where, what do you do before you go on stage? Is there anything that you do is the same every time?
Corey, yeah, we'll do a dance.
Yeah, for half an hour.
Yeah, we do, I guess, a dance of sorts. We're very regimented and very ritualistic. I think increasingly, like the longer we've been a band, we spend like half an hour together, listen to pretty much the same songs, drink the same beer, talk about the same stuff. So yeah, I think increasingly so. We're creatures of habit, I think. Yeah.
What songs do you listen to? Is it vaccine songs?
It's a secret. Yeah, just vaccine songs. Just yeah.
And how about when you come off stage? Because obviously you have that like massive adrenaline high. Do you kind of continue that, or is it like cup of tea and?
No, I think it's really. I think actually, it's amazing what playing a gig does to your body, because you can be like you can be like sort of. Yeah, tired, lethargic, like down, hungover all day, even for the first half of the show, and then half an hour after you come off stage, this like insane burst of energy. You're never really sure where it comes from.
And I guess you guys must miss that when you're not actually touring. Is it like you're kind of, when you stop touring, you miss the buzz, and then when you're...
How do you replace the buzz? That's the age-old question, isn't it?
And did you release English Graffiti on vinyl? Is that something you guys did?
We did release English Graffiti on vinyl, yeah.
And why do you think there's kind of been a resurgence of vinyl? Why do you think people are so interested in having like a physical copy?
Urban Outfitters. I don't know. I mean, I think that if you walk down any high street now, there's just like this obsession wherever you look, whether it's like fashion, like music, like homeware. It's like everybody is like this is nostalgia crazy, is obsessed with the past and like recreating these sort of. I mean, look at that cabinet over there. Like everyone likes looking back, and I think that vinyl represents a time where like there's I guess a purity to recording music and own it, like a sense of ownership and yeah, I think that is a powerful thing. I love vinyl. I don't buy into it sounds better. I mean, it doesn't sound better. It sounds more nostalgic because of the hum of the needle and stuff. But I don't. It's a sweet thing. I understand the appeal. Yeah. I mean, I like listening to records. You particularly do, but I don't. I like listening to iTunes. Yeah.
And is that something you bear in mind when you're actually creating like the artwork as well, that people might have it on their walls?
Absolutely. I think actually when we're doing artwork, when we're kind of deliberating over artwork, which we spend a long time doing, it's kind of with the opinion and the hope that people are going to be buying the record, not like downloading it on their phone. Yeah.
And finally, what's the time frame for the new record? Have you got like a date set in mind when you're going to try and aim to have it finished by?
Arnie?
Sometime in the next 10 years.
You never even, don't joke, you don't even know that.
We've got no idea.
Yeah.
Because you had quite a long time between the last few, and then now you're working. Is it kind of you picked up momentum?
It's funny. People often ask that question, like why? Because people often ask why was there a big gap between 2 and 3? I mean, and not between 1 and 2, and not between 3 and 4. But sometimes I guess you just feel like you need a break from each other, from the creative process. And sometimes you don't. I think we're really enjoying being in the vaccines at the moment, and really enjoying like playing shows and making music. So it's simple. But I mean, I don't think I think Arnie's answer. I think in a way, I don't know how long it'll be, because I think until we've got a great record, we won't release it. The world will wait forever for a great record.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. That was great.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.